You're listening to 15 Minutes, where we feature community leaders sharing what the rest of us should know but likely don't. Hi, Chad Franzen here, one of the hosts of Share Your Voice, where we talk with top-notch law firms and lawyers about what it takes to grow a successful law practice. This episode is brought to you by Gladiator Law Marketing, delivering tailor-made services to help you accomplish your objectives and maximize your growth potential. To have a successful marketing campaign and make sure you're getting the best ROI, your firm needs to have a better website and better content. Gladiator Law Marketing uses artificial intelligence, machine learning, and decades of experience to outperform the competition. To learn more, go to gladiatorlawmarketing.com, where you can schedule a free marketing consultation. Jereme Baker is owner and managing member of Baker Law Group. He has comprehensive experience in real estate business and corporate law, estate planning, and probate. He has served as both in-house and outside general counsel for small to medium-sized businesses. Jereme's achievements include negotiating a multi-million-dollar joint venture, assisting in the acquisition of over $30 million in real estate assets, and facilitating a $60 million commercial real estate development venture in Denver. He founded Baker Law Group in 2011 and has received accolades like the 2014 Billy Lewis Young Lawyer Courage Under Fire Award and recognition as a rising star by superlawyers.com. Pleased to be joined by him now. Jereme, thanks so much for joining me. How are you?
Yeah, doing great. Yeah, glad to be here.
Hey, so tell me a little bit more then about Baker Law Group and kind of what you guys specialize in.
Yeah, so our motto is we're a full service law firm for today's small business and individual. So essentially, we focus on small businesses providing legal services to small businesses and individuals. We have, core practice areas of general civil litigation, business, real estate, and probate and estate planning.
How did you know, when and how did you know you wanted to become an attorney?
Yeah, so I'd say, kind of first thought about it was when I was in my senior year of undergrad. I took a law and society class at Rutgers University, and it just kind of became apparent to me through that class just how much the law shaped and impacted our society. From really everything from our educational systems to our governance systems, to our work environment and work life. So it kind of opened my eyes, but I wouldn't say I wanted to become a lawyer just because of that class, but it kind of piqued my interest. And then as, kind of time went on, I graduated and I was still thinking about maybe business school or law school. And I interned or, kind of got a job and opportunity back home where I'm from, Jacksonville, Florida, with a personal injury law firm. They were one of the top PI law firms in Jacksonville. And I worked there for about 6 months, just kind of assisting paralegals, opening files, doing simple stuff, and thought it was kind of boring. And I didn't really get a lot of opportunity. I really didn't maximize that opportunity. To be quite frank, I was a little intimidated by it. And then I said, well, I don't think I want to do this law thing. And then I ended up going back up to New Jersey. My girlfriend, wife now, at the time, we stayed together, which was kind of to my surprise, and went up there and did some part-time work at an accounting firm because I was thinking, hey, maybe I'll go with a business law route. And, through that short experience there, I was like, there's more paperwork here than there ever was at the law firm, and it's all numbers. And, so I said, maybe law school isn't so bad. So I ended up start studying for the LSATs, and kind of the rest is history there.
Okay, so what did you enjoy about law school, and then how did you kind of transition into the legal industry?
Yeah, I mean, what did I enjoy? I really enjoy my business classes. Is where I got the highest grades, in corporations and business organizations. Uh, um, but unfortunately, I came out during the recession in '09. So recession started in '08 and was right in the thick of it in '09. There weren't a lot of opportunities. A lot of folks, their opportunities were getting rescinded from law firms and other businesses. But I did have an opportunity part-time with the Boulder Housing Authority. And then kind of out of nowhere, I kind of got an unexpected opportunity to work at the DA's office in Boulder. not criminal law was absolutely not what I wanted to do. Had no interest, took no classes in law school. But I said, full-time job versus part-time. Um, I'll give it a shot. I didn't want to be anywhere near a courtroom prior to that, but it was a good experience for me. I ended up getting my feet wet in court, kind of understood what it was to try cases in front of a judge. So that was kind of the beginning of my legal journey there.
What brought you to Boulder? I know you went to school at the University of Colorado for law school. Was that like did you just apply to a number of places and you got in there, or was there something else about it that brought you there?
Yeah, so there was a little bit more of a personal connection there. So my mom was born in Colorado, and my grandmother, and I have some other small family out here, like my small family out here on my mom's side, my aunt and cousin. And but we used to come visit as a kid. When I was a kid growing up, probably every 2 or 3 years, we haul pile in the van and drive out here, take the 3-day trip and spend the summer out here. And I just always loved it. I loved the mountains, had a personal connection with me. And my grandmother lived in Lyons, Colorado, just north of Boulder, and beautiful spot if you're familiar with it. Basically right in our backyard was the St. Vrain River, and we go tubing down there throughout the summer. So I always had a special place for years. I used to dream about Colorado, growing up as a kid, to be honest with you, coming from, Jacksonville, Florida, living in the city. So, of course, around the time that, I was a young adult and, Colorado was cool, but I wasn't giving it much thought. When I started applying to law school, I said, where do I want to live? And that's was the advice that I was given. Go to law school where you want to live. And I applied to a handful of schools, but as soon as I got the acceptance letter, at CU Boulder, I knew that's where I was going.
Awesome, awesome. So Baker Law Group now is based in Colorado. How did it come about?
Yeah, so I ended up very early on in my legal career, decided to hang my own shingle. Again, it was something I was kind of scared to death of, but my dad really encouraged me in doing that, and even opened myself up to the possibility of doing that, because I was still very inexperienced, but I had a little bit of legal experience. So I decided to give that a shot. Had a mentor of mine who, fortunately, he kind of steered me to an office location where there were some other senior attorneys, kind of semi-retired attorneys that had 30, 40 years of experience that I was able to kind of start my journey there and be able to pick their brains a little bit to try to stay out of trouble.
What were the early days like? I'm sure having those more senior kind of people around you helped.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely a lot of anxiety and paranoia, just not wanting to screw up. And a lot of research, a lot of effort. I learned a lot just making sure I was competent to practice law in some of the areas that I decided to practice in. And as I alluded to, definitely picking the brains as much as I could. I really bugged those senior attorneys any chance I got. Hey, can you review this motion? Hey, what do you think about this? Or am I on the right track with that? Hey, how do I respond to this? And I go around that sort of shared office, and okay, I feel like I'm bugging that one too much. Let me go check out another one here. So it was yeah, it was interesting. Definitely a little scary. But as time went on, I got a lot more, more and more comfortable with the concept of practicing law and kind of being out there on your own.
How much time had passed between when you graduated from CU and when you started Baker Law?
Oof, not a lot. I think it was less than just under 2 years.
So,
It
given
feels like
that,
a
given
lot.
you're
Yeah.
you're pretty, you're pretty young, pretty new in the field, well, relatively new. You still had a lot of legal expertise, but what was one thing upon starting that law firm that you were that like kind of hit you in the face? Like, I just didn't realize that was going to be part of this, or was there anything?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things, honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, even going to law school, you don't really know what to expect. I mean, maybe I don't have any lawyers in my family that I could reach out to and talk to and get a sense of that. I did, of course, work at, like I said, that personal injury firm for 6 months, before law school. So, I kind of knew what an office looked like, but I really didn't get to do much more than that. So I'd say, part of it was, maybe just the enjoyment that I got out of, consulting with clients and advising them and helping them with their problems. Wasn't, really at the forefront of why I went to law school or what I was expecting to be the most rewarding. I mean, I really enjoyed figuring out problems for them or solving their problems, doing that research and finding the aha, I've got it. But also being able to share that with them and help them, in difficult times. Um, that's probably what I wasn't expecting, but also probably the most joy that I get out of practicing law.
So now, I'm looking at your website here. It looks like you have more than 10 attorneys who work at Baker Law. What
Yeah.
does growth kind of look like for you guys?
Yeah. It's been a bit of a staircase, as business typically is. It's a, you know, two steps forward, one step back. But I mean, I started off, part-time, um, having a part-time paralegal, and then I could have a full-time paralegal, and then I could have a law clerk. So I would say growth has really, obviously when you go that full-time attorney, I think I did that within the first couple of years. I've doubled in 2 years, right?
Hmm.
Then that kind of middle part, we didn't grow quite as fast, but I'd say the last 3 years, we've seen a lot of growth. Um, went from, you know, I think two or three attorneys to 10 in the past, 2.5, 3 years. So the growth has been picking up lately. So, but yeah, it hasn't been, 100% just straight, straight line there. It's definitely been a
Sure.
staircase.
Yeah, it never is. When you first decided you wanted to expand, how I guess nerve wracking or how much of a gulp was it to realize like, okay, I'm hiring somebody, I have to pay them and all these things.
Yeah, that's always constantly in the back of your mind. You don't know. I mean, you begin to trust what you're doing as time goes on, and you find success, and hey, this is working. But a small business and any business is a delicate thing in some ways. You can have something that can definitely, derail you or knock you off course, and you don't see it coming or you don't expect it to come. But, again, I think over time, you kind of see things building and you see revenue coming in and you're like, oh, I mean, it's coming in. I'm not exactly sure it's going to continue to come in, but it seems like the things that I'm doing are working and it's increasing. So just kind of keep doing what you're doing and have confidence and trust in what you're doing. And, you kind of start to build a little bit of faith and trust. And, that's all you can do. I mean, you can't control everything.
When I introduced you, I talked about, or I mentioned a few kind of big things that you've been involved in. What are some moments maybe that you look back on that you're particularly proud of during the lifespan of your firm?
Yeah, I would say, just a few milestones, hiring that first employee, being able to do that and say, okay, I don't have to do everything, right? I don't have to answer the phones and be my own bookkeeper and practice law and do all the research and make sure rent's paid. And um, so that was a big milestone, just something to be proud of, but also it was helpful. And then, having my first office that I could actually have a door that I could close. That was a big moment. And I started off, well, with the seniors attorneys in that space, and my clients didn't know it because I would meet them in a shared conference room, but I didn't have an office, right? I was basically in a paralegal cubicle in the back.
Mm.
So getting that first office where I can actually close my door, and have my own personal space was a big milestone for me. And then slowly getting my own just office entirely, not just space for me, but for my staff. And then, now we have three locations. So open up that second and third locations, have been big milestones and things that I've been proud of, but just excited to see.
How much I know it can be nerve wracking when you hire a new employee or whatever, especially for the first time because of all the responsibilities that come along with it. How much or how stressful or worried were you when it came to like delegating? Like, okay, I mean, trusting somebody else to do what you can do, even if you don't want to do it.
Yeah. One thing I'll say, it was pretty slow in me having that trust for someone, especially the first time, the first time around. I was very much. having given an assignment, and at the time it was, a law clerk, given the assignment, reviewing, checking all the citations, redlining it, and making sure it was done properly and correct, and they were kind of thinking about the problem the way that they should be. And that relationship continued that way for quite a long time. Really, really several years. And um, not to say it took that long to completely build the trust, but that's just the way that we operated. And and then at some point after 2 or 3 years, I really felt okay. This law clerk knows just about as much as I do at this point, right? We've been working so closely together, and I trust the way that he thinks and he writes and he interacts with clients, so that was a long process the first time around. If you want to continue to grow, as we want to, and we have been, you can't quite take 2 or 3 years, before you let someone off the reins, but it's definitely something that you try to monitor and track, and have a system in place to where you can make sure that person's doing good work, but at some point you got to have a little bit of trust too, that you're hiring someone and they're licensed and they're competent to do the work, and that they're going to do it. And that always doesn't work out that way, but um, you know that's unless you just want to be a solo practitioner and have maybe a paralegal, then that's the only way if you actually want to grow your firm.
Yeah, you just got to do it. Speaking of growing, you mentioned that you've gone from 1 to 3 locations. How has that kind of changed your life as the kind of the head of the business?
Yeah, I would say it's a more to manage, of course, but at the same time, really, it's been a little bit easier transition than I probably expected. And I think part of that was because of the COVID experience, where we still had one location at that time, and everybody came into the office. We always met clients in the office, and COVID changed all of that. So it actually was a good kind of precursor, and kind of a good experience to go through. Um, when we decided, hey, we'd like to have a second location. Okay, well, because of COVID, we've already been doing some of these things remote, and it was a little bit more streamlined and a little easier to do that second and then third location, because of that, really. But it still has its challenges.
Are there any daily rituals that you find particularly important? What does a day look like for you?
Yeah, I would say two things. I would say one is stop looking at emails. I have to stop looking at emails at some point in the evening. I don't want to have that email at 9 o'clock at night that just keeps me up for the rest of the night, and so shut it down, shut it off, just don't look at it until the next morning. It can wait. It's not worth having a sleepless night or thinking about it, solving a problem or an issue or whatever it might be. And in that same vein, it's really trying to tackle the thing that you least want to do that day early. So you're not thinking about it at night, and it's not coming home with you. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to deal with it, whatever it might be. So just try to tackle that early in the day and get it over with, so you can go home to your family and not be thinking about work as much.
I have one more question for you, but tell me, how can people find out more about Baker Law Group?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously have a website, jbakerlawgroup.com. You can find out about our website there, or give us a call. I'm happy to talk. Especially if it's an attorney. I'm happy to share any information I can. So just pick up the phone and give me a call.
You mentioned you had some mentors who have helped you a lot, especially when you were getting your own firm rolling. What would you say is the best, or I don't know, maybe even the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
Yeah, I would say the best advice was something I just continue to carry with me, and that's you know face your biggest fear, right? Don't run away from what you're afraid of. Face it head on. That was when I started my law firm. I was like, I didn't think I could do it. I was super scared of it, and I was thinking about not even practicing law anymore. And it was because I was afraid of the challenge in front of me. I was afraid maybe I couldn't succeed at being an attorney. I couldn't succeed at starting my own firm. So attorney told me, face your fears, and I was going through it at that moment too. And so I kind of try to carry that with me. And in fact, in the background, I've got a little scrawny man in a medieval armor, with a sword out in the field, trying to slay a dragon. So that's kind of a reminder to me, to face your fears, and as daunting as it may seem, just go after it.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice. Good story. Thank you so much. Hey, Jereme, it's been great to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, Chad. Take care.
You too. So long, everybody. Thanks for listening to 15 Minutes. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.